What's up, guys? Welcome back to Inside Out Precision. Today we're going to be doing a review on a new release. This is the Hinge. It's made by Ultraview Archery. But before I get into the release, I want to address a question that I get all the time, which is where's the shop located and where can I find your guys' online store? So I work at the Bow Rack in Springfield, Oregon. This is not my pro shop. The owner, Wayne Endicott, I've known him since I was 12 when I came in here and got my first bow. I'm now 32 and have been working here for about the last 5 years, helping Wayne coach out of here for the last 6 or 7 years. And if you're looking for stuff online, go to www.thebowrack.com. Now, a lot of our branding merchandise is on there, like hats, shirts, mugs, stuff like that, but it's not always updated with our inventory with, like broadheads and releases and all that. So if you have a question, Google us, give us a call. If we don't have it in stock, we can certainly order it for you and ship it to you. So that's where I work, the Bow Rack in Springfield, Oregon. It is not Inside Out Precision Pro Shop or anything like that. So now that we got that out of the way, back to the task at hand. This is the new release from Ultraview. This is called the Hinge. If you aren't familiar with Ultraview, they're a relatively new company. It was started by Colby Hanley, who he was one of George Riles', superstars that came all the way through. If you don't know who George Riles is, he's one of the U.S.'s, actually he's the U.S. Paralympic national team coach right now, but he has a team called the Hornets. And it's mostly comprised of, youth to young adult shooters, but they're top notch. In pretty much all of these major USA shoots and any of the national shoots, usually at least one of the guys on the podium is one of George's kids. Sometimes it's all three, guys and girls. So Ultraview was started by Colby Hanley. They started off making accessories for bows, like grips. They make these 3D printed grips that are aftermarket for like Hoyts and Matthews. They also made little accessories to go on your releases, like different finger attachments, knob attachments. They call them the funky finger and the funky knob. But recently, in February at the Vegas shoot, they unveiled an actual release that they've been working on. So this is the Hinge from Ultraview. Now, what I immediately was interested in this release from was that it's a shooter's company, meaning that the people that designed this and shot this are very experienced shooters. I trust their opinion. They know they've shot a ton of different releases, and they took things that they've liked and disliked from a number of different companies and styles of releases and kind of found what they thought was the best mix of a release that's both comfortable and extremely accurate. So a couple things that make this release different from most. The first is the positioning of the hook here. So most releases, the hook is going to be pretty much right between your index and your middle finger. On this release, they've actually pushed that hook back over your middle finger. Now what that does is when I get to full draw and I kind of, come into what I call my hard aim, is it makes the leverage point over that middle finger. So it's much easier to transfer kind of the tension from my index, which is more predominant when I'm drawing, to when I get back. It makes it really easy to even out that pressure. What's nice about that is that it seems to be a very consistent release. I don't feel like I have to work on it. I can just focus on aiming and just kind of keep those fingers soft, and the release clicks and then fires. Which brings me to the next thing, which is the click. Most releases, most other brands are going to have the click. So when I get back, I hit my anchor point, this release rotates, and it clicks right there. You hear that little click? That fired too soon. But when it clicks, that tells me, okay, this release is about to fire. Most of the clicks are engineered on the moon. So you have a moon and a hook on your release. As I start rotating my release, that hook gets closer to the edge of the moon. When it passes it, the release fires. Most releases have a little notch or edge carved in to the moon. So when I get back, the hook hits that little edge, you hear the click, and then I have to rotate a little bit further. Now, some releases, once you hit the click, you either have to move a really long distance still before it fires, or it doesn't move as smoothly. It feels like it's kind of hung up. With this release, the little notch that's grooved, or the little groove, I guess, is actually on the back side of the hook here. It's not on the moon. And for whatever reason, I don't feel the click as much. So when I'm drawn back, I click, I don't feel this little shock in my hands, which I like because coaching, I see this all the time where people, they draw back and they roll to the click, aiming super solid, and as soon as it clicks, it's like they just freeze up. It's like, oh God, it's about to fire. And they tense up, and they're at draw for like 10 more seconds, and it's usually a miss. Because they have that, they can feel that little click. With this, I don't feel the click hardly at all, but I do hear it. So it's an audible cue that, okay, now we need to focus on aiming, keep those fingers soft and roll through. It also seems to be a lot smoother after the click. I like the amount of travel between the time it clicks and the time it fires. It's not, I don't have to worry about it. If I hit full draw right as I'm settling in, if it clicks, I don't have to worry about it firing right away. There's enough travel that I can feel it, but not so much that I'm sitting there pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, waiting for that thing to fire. So I really, really like those features. Some other features about this are, this is the aluminum version. They also make this in a brass handle version. So a little bit heavier overall, even though the shape and finger configuration is the exact same. The other thing is you can see the kind of two-tone color here. So the third finger on this, see if I can zoom in on that. The third finger on this little set screw here pulls out. I can make this a 2-finger, a 3-finger, or a 4-finger release just by buying different attachments from Ultraview. So I don't need to buy 3 different releases to try 3 different finger configurations. I just need to buy the attachment. Secondly, you can get different size, different shape, different color knobs on this, or pegs. Now, one thing I was surprised with was it did not come with a peg. They actually make you buy that separate. It's $10 extra, but make sure you get a peg because it did not come with one. And it's a little weird trying to draw without your finger on a peg. I got through it. This is actually one from my old True Ball Sweet Spot that I use for training and coaching other people. So I pulled that one off, and I'm waiting for my one actually from Ultraview to come in. But bunch of different sizes, shapes. Like I said, they're called the funky knob. So you can pick, whichever one you want and play around with it. So you have lots of different options with this release, which I love. It's extremely comfortable. It's not too thick this way. It's not too wide, which is really nice. And then the finger grooves are very defined, which to me is really important because if these are really shallow, kind of broad grooves, it's really easy for my fingers to kind of float around in there. And if they're not in the exact same position every time, it puts different leverage on that release and it changes my shot timing because sometimes it rolls through really quick and other times it moves a little bit slower. So having these really defined grooves right there positions my fingers in the exact same spot every single time. Now, I don't have giant hands. A lot of releases will come in different sizes. This one is just one size fits all. I've seen guys with big old mitts shoot this. I've seen kids with smaller hands than me shoot this. But honestly, I think it's perfect. I don't like my fingers getting too spread apart because when they're spread really far apart, then your hand is tense and you need that hand soft and relaxed. So it's got a great shape, it's got a great action, got a great click. Everything is comfortable about this, but I can talk to you about it all day. Let's see what it actually does on the range. I'm gonna go set up the camera. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, let you guys see the release in action, and then I'll actually, film the target on a few and let you see the shots. So I'm gonna go get the stuff set up and we'll let the Hinge bark for the first time. Well, not the first time, but first time on camera. All right, guys, so I know I'm wearing different clothes. That's because last night, for whatever reason, this portion of the video file was messed up. The sound and the audio were completely off and it was kind of glitching. So I'd already got home by the time I realized that, and I had to refilm. So anyway, here I am today. I'm gonna shoot pretty zoomed in on my hand here so you can really get a feel for how that release looks. And then we'll go down and take a look at those arrows. I've been shooting it pretty darn well. I'm pretty confident with this so far. So anyway, I'm gonna get nice and close here. Hopefully I don't have any boogers hanging out. A little wobbly on that one. Still fired. Still hit middle actually, it looks like. Maybe a shade left. It's hard to see down there. The target's kind of beat up. Felt pretty good. One thing I've noticed is I don't like shooting in really cushy shoes because I'll find myself like almost, I don't know if off balance is the word, but I like wobble around in them. These shoes have tons of cushion. All right, let's go take a look at those and zoom out here real quick. So you may notice also that I have that nose button, which is that little red piece, and I've been getting a lot of questions recently on, do you like the Bowmar nose button? Have you shot one? Blah, 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 blah. There was a guy who, they come in a 2-pack with a large and a small. He used the small one, didn't want the large one, so he let me use it. So far, I like it. I don't think it hurts anything. I didn't really see a huge increase in accuracy. I think I'm comfortable enough with my anchor point, and I've done it for so long that it's not really something I think about. Every time I come back, I just, you know, center my scope in my peep and then center my pin on the target and everything lines up. But if you're a new shooter, I think it does 2 things that are really important. 1, it makes sure you're touching your nose the exact same spot on the string. And 2, and I think this is more important, is it keeps you from really bearing into that string and like smashing your nose onto the string. It's actually really sharp, like those little spikes on it are pretty sharp. And so, yeah, if you push too hard, you're gonna know it. So anyway, here we are at the target. You know, pretty happy. That was the first one I shot. Like I said, I was kind of bouncing a little bit, my pin was kind of going like this, but the shot broke clean and it ended up hitting, which is a good testament to just staring at what you want to hit and executing. These 2 felt really solid and hit really solid. Obviously this target has been shot a whole bunch by lots of different people, but I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna go back, we'll shoot a couple more, and yeah, keep the train rolling. All right, back here at 20 yards. Gonna have to yell at you. Arrow number 1. That one felt good. Can't really see it from here, but it felt really good. That one didn't feel as good. So, not horrible. Looks like 2 X's, and that would be catching the 10 line, but definitely not my finest shot. Anyway, zoom out here. Okay, so as you can see, I mean, you know, obviously the release isn't gonna make you just start hitting X's all of a sudden, but what I really like about this release is how consistent it is. My shot timing feels pretty good on it. I think a large part of that is due to these finger grooves. They just put your finger in the exact same position every time, which keeps that leverage the same every time, which thus makes a really clean shot. If you have any questions on this, please hit the link below, or not hit the link below, but comment below, or go to ultraview.com, and they have, like I said, brass, aluminum, bunch of different colors, different pegs, all sorts of stuff you can do to kind of customize your own release. So super cool release. I'm gonna just do a couple more shots of me shooting. I tried to do one of, you know, the release working and then some on the target to kind of give you guys a feel of what I'm, you know, just how it's shooting, how I'm shooting, whatnot. But I'll try and get one of more like my whole body shooting to kind of close this video out. But thanks so much for watching. As usual, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really, really helps us out. And until next time, as always, remember, precision is a decision. Keep them in the middle, and I'll see you on the range.